Today's subject, Securing India, a National Security Makeover, is dedicated to unraveling the complexities of India's security life and exploring the strategies and initiatives. India, with its diverse political challenges, vibrant democracy, and flourishing economy, stands at a critical juncture in its quest for national security. From traditional threat posed by neighboring adversaries, with a remarkable career spanning over 4 decades in the Indian, Lieutenant General Raj Shukla brings a wealth of experience. Given the complex geopolitical landscape in South Asia, how do you perceive India's current position and the challenges it faces in navigating the regional dynamics to ensure national security?
We are enjoying a peace dividend. We should resource our deterrence so that peace between India and China rests not on but on concrete military capacity which should deter China.
So, obviously, say India has a lot to catch up on to reach today's level of warfare.
Today what is happening, and this is just the military dimension. The real competition is taking place. Our long-term competition is in the strategic military dimension, which is what in technologies like AI, autonomy, biotech, and data. And these choke point technologies, the gap is so much that even the Chinese will not be able to catch up with the Americans. And we need to do a lot of catching up with China. Because all those capacities translate into military capacity. And see, one more point is asymmetric addressal. We have to find a sweet spot between capacities and cost. I'll give an example. Look at the Americans. They can have the Nimitz class aircraft carrier, $4 billion. They can have the Ford class aircraft carriers, $14 billion. You can have a Tomahawk missile, $2 million. Hypersonic, $60 million. But 10 Tomahawks may overwhelm the AD system. So we have to get a careful configuration. Don't waste all your money on high-end systems. Sometimes they are useless. So the sweet spot between this has to be found. I'm sure a lot of this stuff must be happening, but these are the great complexities which have to address.
I'm sure, sir, these complexities will be addressed. Sir, you spoke about national security reforms. So, these reforms in India reflect a concerted effort by the government to address emerging security challenges, modernize defense capabilities, and enhance overall security preparedness. Sustained efforts are needed to address these challenges, capitalize on emerging opportunities, and ensure that the country's security preparedness in an evolving strategic environment. So, what is your comment on the ongoing national security reforms? What has been achieved and what more needs to be done?
So, as I said in a nutshell, a very strong edifice has been laid. And that also I would just, implore you to consider. Look at these reforms. DRDO, Ordnance Factory Roads. Are they not the boldest reforms since independence? Let's ask ourselves honestly.
Absolutely.
Pretty bold. What has also happened, I think, in recent times is that for a long time we have said that the political will is not there. Political class doesn't understand. Ask yourselves honestly, who's lagging? In my view, they are saying they are more ambitious. They are saying deliver. It is we who are lagging because of the difficulty of reforms. But that political will narrative, I think, has become weaker. The will is there, but we have seen we've had a CDS for 6 years now, and that's not how it has taken us to do theatre commands. Therefore, these things that I spoke of, transition to digital combat, AD, strategic deterrence, if you start now, it's going to take you 25 years, nothing less than that. Power projection. What are you talking about power projection? I'm saying talk now, Baba. I'm not saying start. If you talk now, it will take you 25 years to do it. And also in the larger sense, in the other areas, as you began by saying, it does seem India's moment. Economically, demographics. In many other areas, we are getting very ambitious. In green energy, foreign policy, G20. Why are our national security ambitions not as ambitious? It is not to jackboot around the world. It is to create capacity. Yesterday I was at a book discussion, or as a Captain Alok Bansal of India Foundation, in a book, Gwadar, the Chinese Gibraltar. Gwadar, the Chinese are coming. So I'm saying, sometime back, a very senior naval officer told me that the Chinese already have a 70-day staying capacity in the IOR. With Gwadar, it will become 100 plus. These 400 ship navy, the largest navy of the Chinese in the world, is it going to patrol the coastal waters of China? They're looking to break through the first island chain. The moment they do that, where is Chinese power going to come? It will be in the IOR. And if it is in the IOR, now look at your complexities. You are in for a strategic squeeze from the LAC and from the seas. So today you have to turn to the seas. These are all things that you haven't done. Now people will say, where the money coming from? Others are given that example, 7% and all. The second, and this is the suggestion, that you take 0.5% of your GDP. What is it? $20 billion. You give it to the services and say, $20 billion, but not to put into your existing pathways. None of that will go into the LACLC. Create something new. Drone missile force, space force. It is in these dimensions reforms have to take place. And one last point I would like to make. Why are these demands, requirements not coming from the services? The services should say, I'll give you an example. Look at the intensity of cyber attacks in Ukraine. They were so intense that with the Microsoft Teams and all, Ukraine was told you have 14 days to migrate to cloud or you're gone. We have elaborate troop mobilization plans. What are our cyber mobilization plans? So in these domains, space, cyber, digital combat, data, AI, China has 238 large language models. You have none. यहाँ पे आपने इन्वेस्टमेंट करना, इतना ही कर दो पूरा नेशनल सिक्योरिटी रिफॉर्म हो गया. So the number of suggestions I can give is far more than the capacities because this is the enormity. And I'm not blaming anyone. The Americans are falling behind. This is how the character of war has changed. Today, the partner of Spacecom is not NASA. It is not Boeing Lockheed. Elon Musk. Why? Creativity, imagination. In your and my time, it was very famously said, we don't need brains in the army. Backup nonsense. National security needs the best brains. नहीं तो आपका ये हाल होगा. So you need structural corrections, cultural corrections, innovation, creativity, imagination. So this is how complex national security reforms are. But my base argument remains the same. Edifice laid, lot to be done to complete the makeover. Makeover cannot be done by the old stuff, not in the old style. Innovation, creativity, startups, business to complement the PSU network. But it cannot be just the old stuff, more and more of the old stuff. This is, I think, the direction in which our national security reforms need to go. And also, let me tell you this, we have two options with the Chinese. Either we create deterrence or we create detente. We tell them, go for peace. This is what the Americans did with the Soviet Union. They used detente to resource their capacities. My big fear is that we should not sleepwalk into conflict. If we don't have the capacities and we sleepwalk into conflict with the Chinese, it will be disaster. So either create viable deterrence, and the Chinese are very smart characters. If you create deterrence, they'll be the first to back off. You just start doing this in speed and scale, they will back off. And if for some reason we can't do it, then let's do the conflict till we go. But this third option, is the worst one. Na idhar ki, na udhar ki, and just get drawn into conflict, which should not be a very wise proposition.
So do you feel that a separate department needs to come up or a separate branch needs to come up to tackle all these things?
I don't think a separate branch, but within lots can be done. Let me just give you a few suggestions. I've been making these suggestions with, as usual, little resonance. Why should the first joint command not be RTRAC? Unless you think joint.
Training.
No, I'm making a different point. RTRAC Army Commander has 33 Lieutenant Generals. Delegate training. Can't we trust Lieutenant Generals with training? And you do the difficult part. Futures, strategic thinking, innovations. The Americans have created a Futures Command to drive innovation through their system. And where is that located? Austin, Texas, Elon Musk country, academic hires. This is the difficult part. Why should the Commandant Staff College not be the smartest officer from the tri-services? No longer army. Yeah, these are the big things that you do. If you do these things, look at the messaging that will go across. Space Force. I'm not saying create 4-star led Space Force, but The Space Force commander, cyberspace commander, must be in the security mind space. They must be at least invitees to the COSC. They must figure prominently in this domain. Within these areas, you can do a lot. Why should DRDO reform be pushed by the government? Why can't the DRDO chief say that we need to reform? Wo din kab aayega? And if those things happen within the services, DRDO, see, look at this ordnance factory boards. I think we are the few countries which would have an ordnance factory board whose whole job was to make munitions. So shouldn't the ordnance factory board chief 10 years before have thought of precisioning? Is it not now common sense? Do dumb munitions make any sense? So these are the kind of changes. So I'm not saying create a new ministry, but within this, we need more ideational change, cultural change. Let me give you two more examples. This business of L1. So I'll tell you and that gentleman कि आप आर्ट रिन्यूएशन बनाइए 10 साल बाद आपको देखेंगे कि अगर आप L1 हो गए आपको कॉन्ट्रैक्ट you put a single penny.
Correct.
Understand common business. The tyranny of L1 should go. हम बात करते हैं कि we are very fair and we will choose the best. All nations in the world have national champions. Boeing will not put a penny unless he is given what they call in the West firm demand signaling. This. Now people will say, how do you get over the GFR? All countries abroad have what they call national security exceptions. So deviations from GFR must be allowed in the light of national security exceptions. So ये cultural transitions, structural corrections, बहुत कुछ है करने. I think ideationally we need to change.
And we have to focus on quality, sir.
This minimalism, so far I feel the change is happening, but it is still driven by the lowest common multiple model. It has to become highest common multiple. That is how competitive national security is. And see, if you don't do it, this is the point I will make. 2028, hypothetically, if we have a crisis like China, we should not be like those Ukrainian brigades, 15 artillery rounds and 42 mortar rounds. I'm not saying it's happening. Even military industrial complex, General Rawat, may his soul rest in peace, used to question us 40i. We couldn't explain. If you say, na, wo interfering target do, main objective do, 40i se bhi kamata hai. But look at what has been fired. What has been fired?
Colossal.
So, upgradation of military industrial. Review your stockpiles, review your inventories. You may find that we, for high intensity prolonged combat, not for grey zone. So look at the monument challenge for us.
Thank you, sir.
The CDS is certainly not in a happy position.
I know he is great on his hands. Right, sir. So in a rapidly evolving security landscape, nations like India are confronted with a myriad of challenges, ranging from traditional threats to emerging issues like cyber warfare and terrorism. In this context, the crucial role of a national level think tank in navigating these complexities and shaping robust defense and security policies could be an option. So what role do you see for a national level think tank in shaping India's defense and security policies amidst these diverse security threats? And also, can you outline the key components and mandate of establishing such a think tank in India if you feel it should be?
Absolutely. There's that famous saying that a nation which draws a sharp distinction between its soldiers and its scholars will have its fighting done by cowards and thinking done by fools. So, thinking is important. Now, I think we have a very good web of think tanks. Take Delhi. You have CLAWS, you have USI, you have IDSA, you have
ORF.
They need to be funded. Funding in think tanks is investment in national security. This just has to happen. And yes, please hold them accountable for outputs. But please fund them. If you don't fund your think tanks, look at the think tank circuit in the USA. Look at China. It has high quality think tanks in the party. It has high quality think tanks in their Tsinghua University. We need to fund our think tanks. What's gone wrong with our think tanks is that they are starved of money. If they are starved of money, we will not have high quality researchers. A historian like Neil Ferguson or John Mersheimer who get things right in international relations, they are backed by a bevy of researchers. So it is not think tanking alone, it is research. So say hypothetically USI should have 20 well-paid researchers. They will do this thinking for you and tell you what ideation needs to be done. And there are two things happening here. One is sometimes some people in the services have this viewpoint that, oh, we know everything. What will they tell us? Today, OSINT has changed so greatly. I need no access to confidential information. I can produce better analysis if you have good researchers. And secondly, we must also look within. Think tanks cannot be retirement clubs. It has to be the right mix of service officers who will bring experience, researchers who will do research. So a comprehensive upgradation of our think tanks is necessary. Even if you don't want NDU for certain reasons, whatever those reasons are, just resource the existing think tanks. Cannot USI clause and IDSA or CAPS produce real high quality stuff for the next 5 years? Call the directors, give them funds. Good high quality research. Why will it not happen? What is China's 100-year marathon about? In the 1940s, 50s, they decide that we will beat the Americans in a 100-year marathon. Thinking, things going wrong. Are they not beating them in their 100-year marathon? So the persuasions for strong think tanks it is there, it is more than obvious. They simply need to be resourced. And for a country, $5 trillion economy, what is 10 crores in thinking?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, sir. Whatever you said is dot on. So finally, sir, anticipating and addressing future challenges requires strategic foresight. Though we've already spoken some portion of it in most of your answers. Flexibility and adaptability in defense planning and preparedness. Key areas of concern include emerging technologies, asymmetric threats, geopolitical uncertainties, and non-traditional security risks. So looking ahead, what do you see as the most pressing challenge for India's national security? And how can policymakers and defense planners proactively address these challenges to ensure India's security and strategic interests in the long term are sustained?
So many of the things we've already discussed.
Yes.
Let's just focus on one point, say technology. So I'll give you an example. See, it is the common deduction is that Soviet Union lost the Cold War because it was outdone economically. That is just part of the argument. You read Chip Wars by Chris Miller. Look at how the dynamic plays out. The Soviet Union is ahead of the United States in pure science, quality of scientists, Nobel laureates, nuclear systems, even in tanks, aircrafts and all. The military-industrial complex is better. One area of competition gets narrowed down to the chip. The Americans are better at miniaturizing computing power. As they miniaturize computing power, the chip goes into the calculator, the computer, it goes into the missile, aircrafts and military systems. And where does this innovation take place? In Silicon Valley. The Soviet Union also has Leningrad, but there is an anecdotal story that one of the Russian scientists, he steals a chip from the Americans, goes to their Minister of Defense and says, let us innovate this chip. This is going to define the strategic competition between us and USA. And the minister, not a very wise man, he says there is no need to have innovation system. We don't need Leningrad, just copy the chip. So they copied the chip, but copying the chip fell on the sword of Moore's law. Moore's law happened because you innovated. So what won the Cold War for the Americans was the chip and innovation, Silicon Valley and technology. In my view, with China, you cannot beat them in resources and number of tanks and all that. Just hypothetically, is AI going to be the secret sauce? If AI is the secret sauce, we have very smart software engineers. If we can get many of them back, why not? Satya Nadella and all these people, national security head, rockstar pay, get them back on these small projects. This is how the Americans won the first Cold War. Work on AI. And with innovation, it may turn out to be the secret sauce in the addressal of China. So I think we cannot beat China ship to ship. In rupee to yuan
numbers.
we can beat them in innovation and the right technologies. Possibly that technology is AI and associated technologies, which is going to be game changing. Innovation, which democracies are good, and we have the talent. Somebody told me that if the productivity of the average Indian mind could be even 50% of the productivity of the Indian counterpart in USA. Why is he more productive? Because of a better ecosystem. Our GDP will be $25 trillion. So, talent, technology, innovation could be the secret sauce for a aggressor of China.
Very well said, sir. And let me now thank you for sharing your insights on securing India, a national security makeover. Your detailed analysis, as we heard, on the multifaceted challenges and the innovative strategies to address them has been enlightening. Your take on cybersecurity measures, border security enhancements, enhancement of air defense, enhancement of drones, and the integration of advanced technologies like AI provides us a comprehensive understanding of the steps which need to be taken or are being taken to safeguard the nation. We appreciate the depth of knowledge and practical examples, especially the examples which you gave. The discussion today has been incredibly valuable, sir, in highlighting the critical aspects of national security and the ongoing efforts and what needs to be done to secure India for the future. Thank you once again, sir, for your time and for contributing to this important discourse.
Thank you very much, Sanjeev, and good luck to you, your channel, and USI. And my wish is that you get liberal funding this year.
Thank you, sir. Inshallah.